Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean with us tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Good, boys.
Good, boys. Good.
Good. Another week, more news, so we'll get right into it. But first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Leading off, we are going to talk about the two big races that are going on right now, the AL West and the NL Wild Card. We'll also get into the AL Wild Card a little bit because that could turn interesting here with the schedule coming up. But let's start first with that AL West. The Mariners, the Astros, and the Rangers are all a game apiece. They're separated by a game.
Well, you got Seattle and Houston are tied now, and Texas is a game back.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And then that stems from Seattle winning a franchise record 21 games in August, which, like we said a couple of weeks ago, we thought the Mariners were done. Like they just
no. We never said the Mariners were done.
Never said it looked like it.
No, we were wondering when they were going to finally show up.
Right. We said that it was disappointing that the Mariners were who they were up until that point in the season.
Well, fair.
Right. But I don't think any one of us, we can go back and listen, but I don't think any one of us said that Seattle was done. They're just too talented. The manager's too good. And it's Julio. It stemmed from Julio.
He had 17 hits in the weekend, and
Julio took off in that Houston series, and the whole team followed suit.
Yeah.
That's going to be what that race is coming down to. It is Houston stumbling, but they got a tough schedule. They got, I think, Seattle 7 more times. I think I saw in the month of September. They got Houston 4 more times. It's going to be awesome because it's like they're all playing each other coming down the stretch.
Yep.
You got Houston, who is an American League gauntlet at this point for what they've been the past few years. Never count out Houston. They know what they're doing. They've been there a million times before.
Yeah.
Right. So you never count them out. You got Texas, who can score with the best of them and who has a potent offense. So that's a team you can never really count out. The pitching is a bit kind of Jekyll and Hyde. But if they start to get healthy and they start getting guys like, the problem with them is their bullpen. That's their right. They've blown more saves than they've converted, which is just nuts to win.
Horrendous.
You get 70-something, 74, 77 wins, 76 wins right now.
Yeah. So get
20-something blown saves.
To make your point, Sean, so the Rangers right now are 76 and 61. Their expected win-loss right now, based, the statistical expected win-loss is 83 and 54. They're 7 games below where they should be statistically, driven almost entirely by the fact their bullpen cannot close the deal.
The stat I saw was they had 26 blown saves and 24 converted.
It's awful.
I wonder if that's blown holds and saves, because I bet a lot of them are in the 8th inning. So I wonder if they don't technically qualify as a blown save if it happens in the 8th. I wonder if it's holds and saves put together.
Yeah.
But even still, that's
scary.
Those are the games you should win. You're up in the 8th, you're up in the 9th, you're up in extras. You got to win them. And then there's Seattle, who. This is who Seattle is. Seattle's really, really damn good.
Yep.
Really, really good. I think this is going to be an awesome one coming down the stretch, because I think they all play each other. They're all going to win some. They're all going to lose some, and it's going to come down to like the last week. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. And I love Morgan's point about the fact it's amazing that's their best August, considering they had that team that won 116. they've had a really good team that didn't even outplay that August. So
Yeah, the Astros are playing the Rangers right now. They took game 1 of that series today. So they got, a few more. And it's interesting because now that kind of plays into the AL wild card here a little bit. Yeah. Because don't look now, but the Red Sox are only 4.5 out. And the Blue Jays are a half game out. So this could get really interesting. If Astros go in and sweep the Rangers, that could possibly knock the Rangers out and move the Blue Jays up into that wild card spot. And depending on how this September unfolds, Boston could possibly sneak into the wild card here, which is crazy to think about.
They could. The Sox are going to have to play really, really good, consistent, solid baseball for a whole month, while other teams also kind of shit the bed a little bit. So I wouldn't bet on it. But they're in it. I mean, we're in September and they're right in the thick of it, which I guess is all they were looking for.
Yeah,
As fans, you can ask for more and you can be frustrated that they haven't gone out and bought all these guys and made the trades that we wanted them to make. But at the end of the day, I think this is totally fine with them. I think this is totally fine with where they are, with the players they currently have signed, the players that are coming off the books in the next couple of years, the guys coming up from the minors. Like, I think this is exactly where they want to be. And if they can find themselves playing meaningful games in like late September, I don't think anyone in that front office is going to shed a tear if they just squeak out, right? Like if they finish fourth in the wild card race, I don't think anyone's going to shed any tears. And at the end of the day, we shouldn't either. Because we went in, I went in thinking they were a 500 team. I had them winning like 82, 83 games this year. Harrison had them, I think, right at 500.
Yeah, it was 81, 82. That's all I figured they'd get.
This is kind of what. So at the end, anyone with a, unbiased, as much as unbiased as you can be, you can't be that upset, because I do think they're working towards something in the next few years.
Yeah. The reward's going to be good. And I think the Red Sox have 24 games left. So you're talking realistically, in order to overcome somebody ahead of them, they got to be on like an 18-6, 20-4 run to end the season to really make up 4.5 or 5 games.
Yeah.
They got to play like the Mariners until the very end of the season.
Like they got to be the Braves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they got to do.
Yeah, they can't win. They can't win 16 of those games and expect to jump over anybody. They got to win 18 or 20 of them.
Yeah. No,
But the fact they're still even in the race, I think that's still more than I expected out of them. I figured they'd be, 8-10 games out.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll jump to the NL wild card here. This race is absolutely nuts. So the Phillies are pretty much running away with it. They're 5 games up. They're in the top wild card spot. The Cubs are sitting pretty good with they're 3 games up.
No.
And then it's just a race for this bottom 4. So Arizona, Cincinnati are tied. Miami is a half game back, and the Giants are a game back. So I don't know what their schedules look like right now.
Can we take a moment to appreciate the fact that the 4 teams in the running are Miami, Cincinnati, Arizona, and San Francisco? I know.
Crazy.
San Francisco I could see being competitive this year. Arizona did not expect that. Cincinnati, nobody expected that. Miami, I don't think anybody expected them to be. I thought they'd be better, but not this good.
Especially with, again, and I think we said it either last week or 2 weeks ago. I think with Alcantara being as poor as he's been throughout the year, I thought, we probably said, their only shot is for him to have another runaway Cy Young year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's still a minus 44 run differential. Their expected win-loss is 6 games worse than they are right now. So they, as much as we said it was going to be hard for them to do it, they continue to outrun their play and pull some of these games out.
Yeah, it's crazy. Since I've left Justin Steele off the top 100, Morgan's calling for the Cy Young here. He just dealt again today.
He's been since
innings,
that night, Nick. He's been pretty much untouchable.
I'm
pretty sure Morgan called him and had him rewatch the pod as some fuel to have him go out there and just light everybody up.
Hey, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
But the Cubs are also in a position I don't think that we necessarily thought. We thought they could get there possibly. Yeah. But we didn't think that they would be sitting in the position that they are right now. Maybe in a couple
I jumped the
years,
gun. I had them winning the division, so I jumped the gun a little bit. But I thought they'd be good. I had them winning the division.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be Milwaukee and St. Louis battling it out. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Milwaukee's battling it out, and St. Louis ain't nowhere to be found.
Real quick, right? So we were talking about the NL Cy Young. You said you weren't sure who has less. So Cincinnati just beat Seattle today. So they have 2 more with Seattle. Then they have St. Louis, then Detroit, then the Mets, then Minnesota, then Pittsburgh, then Cleveland, then St. Louis again. So they could win some games. That's Cincinnati's.
Wow.
So Cincinnati is playing for something, and they've got some winnable games.
They sure do.
Miami has, let's see. So Miami off today. They got the Dodgers, Philly, Milwaukee, Atlanta. Yikes!
Oh, the gauntlet.
Then they have the Mets. Then they have the Mets. Then they have Milwaukee again. Then New York and Pittsburgh. So that's going to be tough for Miami, especially for a team that still is outplaying what their expected
Yeah,
wins are.
their next 12 games are going to be like that's going to decide it for them. If they go anything worse than like 500, they're done.
And then San Francisco, they lost to the Cubs. So they got 2 more with the Cubs. Then Colorado, Cleveland, Colorado, Arizona, Dodgers, San Diego, Dodgers.
Ooh, that's a tough finish too.
Tough finish. I mean, they got some winnable games with Colorado,
They do.
Cleveland, Colorado. But then Dodgers, San Diego, Dodgers is tough. And then Arizona, to round it out, Colorado now. Then they have the Cubs, then the Mets, then the Cubs, then the Giants, then the Yankees, then the White Sox, and then Houston. They end with Houston.
That's a winnable stretch for the Diamondbacks there.
They do have a winnable stretch. I mean, I quite honestly, I think you're going to be looking at Arizona and Cincinnati kind of battling it out for that 4th spot.
Yeah, Miami's going to get swallowed up in the next 2 weeks by those 4 opponents. The 4 opponents they got.
Miami
they're in trouble.
They're in for it.
Yep, that's a gauntlet. That's a hell of a September to try to finish up.
Yeah.
Dang. It's crazy. I mean, it is going to be a crazy month with those 2 races for sure.
It is. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun baseball to watch. But
wild.
Yeah. Is there any chance? They won't play 163 if they're tied, will they? Is that how they'll determine it? Or is
they
it
took that away? Didn't they go to they deep into the tiebreakers and whatnot? I think they were trying to avoid the 163. Yeah. Didn't they do away with that 1-game play-in?
I'm pretty sure the 1-game play-in's gone, and now it's just tiebreakers.
All right. So it's like
I don't think they'll play the 163. Whatever. Yeah.
Gotcha. That's what I thought, but I couldn't remember. They've changed so many rules every single year that I never know what ends up.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if I even know them all anymore.
Yeah. All right. Crazy. Anything else on the races before we move on to other news for this week?
No, I think the most important thing with these races is the fact that you've got a Texas team that's dangerous, that's really struggling with a bad bullpen. Houston is who they are. Seattle stayed hot. The AOS is going to be fun. And the National League, like we just went through, there's a whole bunch of scenarios. It's going to be interesting. But the nice thing is it's all new teams we haven't seen in the playoffs in a long time.
Right. That's what I'm looking forward to. Definitely. All right.
Morgan, do a good old fashioned coin toss for tiebreakers.
All right. So number 1 is head-to-head record. So obviously the purest form. And if that's still tied, number 2 is intra-division record.
Okay.
Okay, and then
at that point,
number 3, I think it says intra-division record, but I think that's wrong because then it says in the event of, so it would be common opponents.
Oh, okay.
Oh, gotcha.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Inter-division record. I read that wrong. So intra-division's number 2, inter-division's number 3.
Gotcha.
And then number 4, the last half of intra-league games. Number 5, last half of intra-league games plus 1.
Oh my god!
And then that's as far as they go because I'm sure they're like that'll do it. We'll have someone by then.
If it's still tied at that point, then
yeah, then we'll just play 163.
It's pistols in the parking lot at 10 paces.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, right.
So those are the 5 levels of the playoffs.
Tiebreaker. It's a lot.
Crazy. Almost like with the NFL football like playoff scenario.
Holy cow! Yeah. You get 9 events that need to happen for a team to get in.
Crazy. All right. So moving on, the Oakland A's and the Kansas City Royals are battling like crazy to see who can have the worst record in the league. The A's actually lost it for a little bit, and the Royals were the worst place until the A's lost yesterday. So they are still the worst team in the league, but those two are at the bottom and way, way down. But it is crazy that there's 2 teams that
it is. And I love the fact that everybody spent the whole year like shitting all over the Oakland Athletics. Get rid of the owner, blah, blah, blah. The Royals are just as bad. And they just haven't gotten any attention because it's been funner to pick on the A's. But that team is wrecked.
They're just as bad as far as wins or losses. The Oakland A's still have 119 less of a run differential.
Oh, it's horrendous.
So the A's run differential right now is minus 297. And the Kansas City's is minus 178.
It's not competitive. Like they're not competitive. But what's amazing in all that is that
Insane.
you got the Colorado Rockies with 50 losses. They're minus 204. And
50
they've
wins.
given up more runs than the A's and the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
There are some really, really bad teams. Not as many as there used to be. There's 3 or 4 really, really bad teams.
Morgan goes, I'm sure they have good farm systems like the Reds, though. We'll see. We will see them be fun and competitive in like 2 to 3 years, right?
Nope.
We might.
Who
We
knows in that organization? Anybody good, you're shipped out. So we'll see.
Well, I mean, and the A's aren't going to make any kind of effort until they're in Vegas in a few years anyway. So I mean, in reality, they're not going to be relevant for probably 5 years minimum.
Crazy. All right, we'll move on to Ronald Acuna Jr., who is the first player ever to hit 30 and 60. There's been a couple players that have hit 30 home runs and 50 stolen bases, Eric Davis, Barry Bonds, but no one's reached the 30 and 60 plateau. I think Ricky Henderson was the next closest.
Nuts.
He had the 60 stolen bases, but he had like 26 or 27 home runs in the season. So he was just short. So Ronald Acuna is the only person to reach 30 and 60.
He's got a month left.
He's got a month left. And he's at 32. He's hit 2 home runs since. So we could get.
Yeah, one of them was a 121 mile per hour rocket that he's gonna kill somebody hitting the ball that hard.
It was a fastball on the black of the outside corner, and he hit it 121 miles an hour, like dead center field.
Yeah, missile.
Insane.
And the fastest exit velo they've measured, I believe.
What's he at? 62, 63 swipes?
Let's
I'll look
see.
it
Oh
up.
God, I don't know. He
He's-
stole another one.
He's at 63.
63. So
Yeah.
he's got 32 homers and 63 swipes. He's got a month left. I mean, we could see a 35, 38 homers and touching 70 swipes.
Crazy. I mean,
It's
I
just not right.
didn't think that Pujols was going to reach 700 last year, and he did. He had to hit like 10 home runs in the month of September, and he did. I think Acuna could possibly have 8 in him.
I'd love to see a 40-70 season. That'd be sick.
Insane.
Braves fans down here talking about 40-80. Morgan says
40-80 would be unreal.
that
man.
would be
I mean,
nuts. Could you imagine a
40-80.
40-80 season?
Listen. I get what Mookie is doing
Oh
is
my God.
quiet in LA. Like no one's really talking about the season Mookie Betts is having and all that, and I get it. But if Ronald Acuna, goes 40-80, it's like last year with Ohtani. I mean, I'm sorry, last year with Judge. It's like he has to win the MVP.
Yeah.
Right.
It'd be a travesty.
1,000%.
Like he
Yeah.
has to.
I mean, this
I mean,
is Mookie's best career year, but you're right. I mean, it's.
I think
you
right.
have to.
Let's say the Braves. I don't want to say shut it down, but let's say the Braves are like, all right, like we got ourselves a long postseason ahead. We're expecting to go deep into the postseason. We're expecting to win another World Series. And Acuna gets a little more days off than he would. But let's say he ends right around here, this 32-63. Let's say he ends right around here. I still think he wins it, but I don't think it's a wide gap. Like I think you could definitely make a case for Mookie.
Yeah, it's tight.
If he keeps playing this and he ends up with, let's say, 35-70 or Christ, 40-80, I mean, it's a runaway, right? Like
Yeah.
you
Has
have
to
to
be.
give him the MVP.
Yeah, you couldn't make a case not to give it to him.
We're talking historic seasons.
Yeah, 1,000%. There's no
So-
way. Like we're talking about 40-40 club like it's rare, and this guy just doubled up the stolen base total.
I mean, he hasn't yet. Right now, he's at 63.
Well,
but in our
right. But
hypothetical,
if he does, like
right, in the hypothetical. I mean, there's no way he swiped 17 bags this month, right? I mean, that's nuts.
It is nuts, but
I wouldn't.
he,
put it past
he
him.
might for the hell of it just go out and try. I mean, they might just say, "Look, Ronald, go crazy. We've got such a big lead. You want to try to steal a few extra bases? Go for it."
Dude, it's like a swipe a game.
Yeah, they got like 24, 25 games left. He'd be stealing, basically damn near a base a game.
God damn.
But he also has to hit the ball. He also has to hit the ball out of the park, which means less time
No
on
stolen
base.
base. Right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah,
man.
when
If
you
anyone
go
can do it,
he's got to go
if
2 for
anyone
4
can
every
do
night.
it-
Yeah,
Right.
2 for 4, home run, single, swipe.
if anyone can do it, it's this bastard.
It is.
It's
There's
unreal.
there's not I would not bet against this guy. I just wouldn't.
Unreal.
Absolutely. Speaking of players that are hot, Trey Turner, since the standing ovation in Philly, I think it was August 4th, was when he got the standing ovation. He just went deep again tonight. So Trey Turner, it's 10 home runs. He's hitting, so I don't know how many RBIs, but 26 RBIs since that ovation. So in a month, we've hit 10 home runs. We've put up about 30 RBIs. I mean, his average is still kind of in the crapper just because it was that bad to begin with.
Yeah, it was bad.
But he has absolutely turned it on. So he has a 1242 OPS in his last 14 days. So
Wow.
he has been hot since that ovation and that the Phillies fans were behind him. So, I mean, that's the Trey Turner we were expecting to see. Yeah. It just took him 6 months to get there, but crazy.
Yeah. He still to come down from the high of the World Baseball Classic or something, but it's you look at the Phillies, and that team really started to turn around when Harper came back, and then Trey Turner started to become a little bit better, and then Trey went cold again. Now he's better again, but that team continues to kind of rise and fall with 2 or 3 of those big hitters, and if those 3 guys all get going at once, you can throw Schwarber in the mix. That's going to be not a fun team to play in October.
Yeah, Nick and I were actually talking about. We were talking about that this weekend. I don't care. Excuse me. When it comes down to it, and postseason matchups are identified, I don't care who you are. If you're a fan of the team playing Philadelphia in that first round, you can't be comfortable.
No,
like you can't. You just like God. Like I hope they hit like a downslope when we play them,
Yep.
right? Because it's like if a few of those guys are on it, it's just so uncomfortable, so uncomfortable.
Yeah, they're a scary team. They can go in and rip off, 3 wins in a row on you pretty quick.
Kyle Schwarber just hit number 40, like as we speak.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's freaking ironic.
So he now has 40 home runs and 38 singles.
Yeah, something like that.
Like
his slash line is atrocious, but he hits a lot of bombs.
When Sean and I looked this weekend, he had 39 home runs and like 37 singles. Yeah. He had more home runs than singles. He's hitting 190. Crazy with 40 home runs.
Oh, his average has come up 5 points, so that's good.
Just absolutely insane.
It's mind-boggling. This slash line is horrendous, but it works because they don't need him to hit 300.
Well, the batting average is horrendous because I mean we saw like he gets on base.
No, the OBP is still crazy high. The slugging's still crazy. Like he's still an effective hitter. He just doesn't get a lot of hits.
Yeah,
it's a home run or nothing really, and then he gets a bunch of walks. He's always been a high OBP guy. He's never been this bad a hitter in terms of like average, but he's always been a high OBP guy.
Yeah,
but he's hit for more power the last 3 seasons than probably most of his the early part of his career. Yeah, Morgan's right. He'll show up big in the playoffs as he does.
Yeah,
he's a dangerous guy in the playoffs. Look at him in the World Baseball Classic. Look at him in the playoffs. The guy hits
Cubs.
when it matters.
He did it with the Cubs. He did it with the Red Sox.
Yep.
He
hits when it matters.
Philly.
Always.
Yeah.
So that's back-to-back 40 home run seasons for Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah, good.
Sorry.
Yeah. So in the last 2 years, he's got 80 home runs and 100 other hits.
Maybe.
But still, I mean, it works for what he does for them. It's what they need.
Yep. Crazy. All right. We want to move on to some trivia here, Harrison?
Sure. We were talking about some of the topics. So we'll dive right into some trivia. So let's start with stolen bases since we were talking about Acuna. So we'll go to the Braves here. Who holds the Braves single season stolen base record in the modern era? So not like, Skippy Fairbanks from 1892. So who holds the Braves single season stolen base record?
What year did it happen?
It happened in 91.
Ron Gant.
1991.
No, Gant's a good call, but not Gant.
91.
He was in our slide deck for our top 100. Justin Steele wasn't, but this guy was.
He was in our slide deck for the top.
Yeah, remember how you put random pictures?
Yeah, in your random pictures. He was one of those random pictures.
Mark Lemke.
Nope. He played for the Red Sox briefly.
Goodness gracious.
Center fielder.
Otis Nixon.
Otis, my man Nixon.
Yeah.
Had 72
What do you-
stolen
what do you-
bases in 91.
Dang. That's right. Yeah, he was fast. Center fielder would cover everything too.
Yep. He was like the poor man's Kenny Lofton.
Yeah.
He didn't hit as well, but man, could he run.
Was he, for some reason, I'm thinking he was on that Blue Jays team too.
He was. He played for the Blue Jays too. He played everywhere.
Yeah,
It felt like
Otis Nixon.
he
Yeah.
was everywhere.
Yeah.
All right. We'll stay with Acuna here for a minute. This one stumped me, so I'm curious how you guys do with it. So before Ronald Acuna Jr. and Corbin Carroll this season, who was the last player with at least 20 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a season? And it happened just a few years ago.
The last one to do it in a season.
Yeah, the last player to have 20 home runs and 40 stolen bases in a season.
J-Bro was 25 and 25.
You said it was fairly recent?
It was 4 years ago, 2019.
20 and 40. God. I'm drawing an absolute blank.
This one was tough.
2019.
He did it for the Orioles in 2019.
My God. I don't even
I have
have
no
yeah.
idea.
I'm trying to think of a good hint.
20 and 40. Position give it away.
No, he's kind of a utility guy. He plays a lot of infield. He plays all over the infield. Started his career in Houston, was in Baltimore for only a couple of years. He is currently playing, and he's out west.
My God. I don't even have a guess.
All right, let's see. Hold on.
I'm
Let's figure it out here. Let's figure it out.
Baltimore utility infielder that 20 home runs and 40
Well, not a
bats.
utility guy. He could play any position in the infield, so they tended to move him around a little bit, but he did predominantly play. I believe that year he played third base.
Brian Roberts. No, that's way too.
No, that's second base.
Yeah, and Brian Roberts is like retired like 10 years ago.
Yep, he played with the Cubs last year. He's with the Angels this year. He's only played a little bit this year.
Morgan says Santander. No. Said he's in the Angels right now?
Yep.
Dude, I have no goddamn idea.
I don't even have a clue, dude. I am
Trying to think,
dumb.
see if I can find a better hint. Yeah, Houston, Milwaukee, Baltimore. He's bounced around.
Dude, I don't know.
And he's with the Angels now.
Angels now, Cubs last year. He hit 24 home runs and had 40 stolen bases for the Orioles in 2019.
Holy.
It was Jonathan VR.
Never would have pulled that name on.
Yeah,
That's
me
cool.
neither, man.
Yep.
Dang.
Never.
I was that one. I saw that. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. I have to ask that
I
question.
never would have guessed.
I couldn't get it.
40
I could
bats.
not get it for my life.
40 bat or 20 home runs for him, actually. I never would
I
have
know.
guessed any of that.
It was a career year for him.
I would say so.
I shouldn't say that. It was a career year. Yeah, it was. He hit 20. He's at 18. He's at 19. He's at 14. But 24 for Baltimore and 19 was his best season.
Dang.
Jesus.
It's also the only time he played every game too.
Wow.
All right, let's go to an easier one. Sorry, Bryce Harper hit his 300th career home run. He is second among the 2010 first-round draft picks. Who of that group ranks first
Ooh. In home runs, you're saying.
in home runs? Yep.
So let's see.
That was before.
Machado?
Machado.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
308. Well
Nice
done.
job. Yeah.
Yeah, Machado's got 308. Harper's got 300.
Dang. Machado must have hit 300 this year. I don't remember it being a big deal when he did.
Yeah, but you're right. He would have had to have hit it earlier this year. And yeah, I don't remember it coming up at all.
No. That's crazy.
Well, I just think the Padres have been so bad. I think we've kind of just like blocked them out.
Yeah. I mean,
Nobody's paying attention.
that's completely fair, too.
Yeah.
Dude.
All right. And last question. Ronald Acuna Jr. also had a 30-30 season in 2019. Who is the only other Braves player with 2 30-30 seasons?
2 30 seasons.
Andrew Jones.
No, but that's the first guess I had too. Nick knows. Nick has the answer.
David Justice.
Nope.
30-30.
You know, Nick.
Ron
Yeah.
Gant.
Ron Gant. When you said Ron Gant earlier, I'm like, crap, he's going to know the answer.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah, no, Ron Gant. He did it in 1990 and 1991.
Yeah. Dude, that dude had some pop, and he played with them for a while.
He did. He did. He was built too. Ron Gant was built,
Yeah,
and
he
he
was
could
like
run.
a linebacker.
He was. He looked like he could have been playing for, in the NFL and then in MLB for the summer, but had some pop. So yeah, Ron Gant, 30-30 in 90, and then back to back in 91.
Dang. Crazy.
Nice.
All right. So that caps off our trivia for this week. I did not put out a rounding third question this week because Sean and I were down in Auburn watching Auburn kick the absolute crap out of UMass.
Yep.
That was sick.
Oh, they played UMass?
Yeah,
they
it
played
just
UMass.
happened to be, and it was not. I mean, we left at halftime. It was not pretty.
Well, we
Oh,
went
really?
out. We went back out to the tailgate. We didn't just like leave altogether.
Well,
we just
right,
left.
Good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you went where the action was. I get you.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was Auburn went up 7-0, and then UMass tied at 7-7. We were all like, "What's going on here?" And then they just Auburn was like, "Oh wait, we're playing a football game. Never mind." And then it was over
Yeah.
after that. It was over.
It was like strip sack, pick six, another strip sack.
It was something.
Yeah. Well, my Florida State Seminoles had a big weekend taking down LSU.
Sure
so
did, man. They stomped him.
whew, it was a beatdown.
Stomped him.
And I just finished watching the untold story of the swamp.
Oh
Man, that
terrible.
was cool.
No, it was awful. It was
I loved it.
It was a Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer pump job.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Oh,
it was absolutely like nauseating, but it was cool to see the behind the scenes of it.
I wanted more.
Because it really was the disgusting show that it seemed like it was.
I think they barely scratched the surface of the stuff they could have talked about.
Well, they completely ignored half the players on the team, including Aaron Hernandez.
That's what I'm saying. So
they whitewashed it.
It was
but-
a pump job.
Yes, it was. But it was. I found it highly entertaining to get behind the scenes and see that it was just as screwed up as it seemed like it was.
And you didn't even see all of it. Crazy.
And you saw barely any of it.
No, and I loved Urban Meyer trying to play it off like he's this really good guy.
I hate him.
It was. Oh, he is a turd.
He's
but-
deplorable.
oh, it's awful. But anyways,
All right. So other news this week. Jason Dominguez finally comes up for the Yankees because, like, what else did the Yankees have to lose? Dude homers in his first at-bat against Justin Verlander. Only a Hall of Famer.
who's not good or anything.
No big deal. But he's homered twice already since he's been up. This kid looks like he belongs.
It was a rocket, too, that first one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Oppo Taco, too. Just
man.
Just rocket into the Crawford boxes. Nuts.
And what is with the Martian nickname? Is that like a thing?
I don't know where it comes from.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what stems. I don't know why he's called the Martian. Like, it doesn't. There is a reason. I just don't.
I'll look it up. You keep going. I was wondering if you guys knew because I have no idea what this. They keep calling the Martian. I have no idea what that means.
Yeah. It says. Let's see. I don't know. You can look it up. But yeah, I have no idea. So on top of that, Jackson Holiday gets promoted to AAA. So this kid's coming up, and this kid's coming up fast.
Wow.
Do you think we'll probably see him on the big league roster? Do you think they'll bring him up when the rosters expand, or do you think they'll just kind of let him sit in AAA and develop for the rest of this year and then bring him out to camp in the spring?
I feel like where you're leading the division, you don't necessarily want to bring a kid like that up and throw him right into the mix. I think you're better off sending him to winter ball or something like that and let him keep getting some ABs. But it'd be an amazing experience to bring the kid up, though.
I don't know, man. I'd like to see him selfishly, but
Yeah.
I mean, in Baltimore certainly hasn't shied away from bringing new guys up. It's
No,
like they haven't shied away from being like, "Hey, we think you've earned a shot. We're going to give you a shot." I'd be surprised if they did. It's they're not really in a need of a boost. It's not like they're kind of dragging and like, oh, well, we need a little energy or fire in the clubhouse, like a little change.
Right.
So I'd be surprised, but I mean, if they do, I think it'd be awesome. I mean, the guy breezed through the minors.
Yeah,
He's cruising.
I was seeing he hit like 338, had 3 bombs and something like that, and he's been in AAA for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Well, and they're saying like just and they're saying like his at bats, like he wasn't fooled by anything. He was on top of everything. Like they felt like there was really no stretch he was going to have down there.
Yeah, crazy.
I Morgan in regards to Dominguez, Boone will find a way to mess him up too.
He ain't wrong. He ain't wrong.
No, he ain't wrong. So, anyways, he's called the Martian because when he was being scouted, one of the scouts said there's no way he was from this world given his talent set, so they nicknamed him the Martian because he was from some other planet.
This is Dominguez,
and it stuck ever since he was a teenager.
Yeah,
Dominguez. Yeah, so he's called the Martian because some scout when he was a teenager said he looked like he was from another planet the way he played, so they called him the Martian.
And it just kind of stuck.
Seems to fit. I mean, he looks like he belongs at this level.
Yeah, right.
He does. I mean, he fit right in.
Yeah. I mean, Morgan makes up a good point too. Why not bring up, Jackson Holiday now? He sees big league pitching, and then gives him a chance to see what he needs to work on in the offseason.
Sure.
To succeed at that level. I mean, why not?
Well, I agree. And that's why I made the comment of I think it'd be great for him. But if I'm the Orioles, I don't need him. I don't need to bring him up and let him just sit on the bench. Or mess the lineup up and have him slotting in. But I think it'd be awesome to bring him up and let him get some at bats and see what it's like, get a taste of competitive Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and I the Orioles know his mental makeup better than any of us, right? And I think if they feel like he's mentally ready to battle it, then I'm sure they give him a shot. And if it's one of those like, hey, we need to see this kid struggle, I'm sure he hasn't had in his life playing baseball had a consistent stretch of struggling. I mean, he seems to just so naturally gifted, and he's the best player on any team he's ever played on. And maybe he won't, and I don't know, but they know his mental makeup better than we do. So I think whether they do or whether they don't, I think will give you a clue in on how they feel he can handle it. Like if they put the brakes on him in AAA, maybe they think he just, needs a little extra time down there just to, get himself, mentally ready for the struggle that you're going to go through. I don't think it's a bad idea.
No.
If Morgan makes a case to bring him up, I wouldn't argue with him hardcore to keep him down there.
Right.
I just think we'll see how they feel, the Orioles do, about what they decide in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, I think the timing of it, he's heading to AAA now, and their season is what, 2 more weeks?
If that.
So the chances of him, I think, coming up to the big leagues this year are slim, because they'll probably just be like, hey, finish out the year here at AAA, and then like Harrison said, maybe send him to winter ball. And just say, hey, we'll see you in Florida in the spring or Arizona, wherever they go. Florida. And just see, what you got in the spring. So I think that's probably the way the timing works out. I think that's what we'll see out of Holiday. I don't think we'll see him up this year, but who knows? I mean, rosters and they bring everybody up. He could. I don't know.
The kid is talented though. Holy cow.
Yeah, sure seems it.
I can't remember a young player like him running through the minor leagues so fast.
Yeah.
So the rosters have already expanded, correct?
Right. I think September.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. 9-1 they open up, right?
So nice. So I mean, who knows? We'll see. There's still plenty of baseball left. Jose Altuve hit for the cycle against the Sox. Ended it with a home run in the 6th?
Yeah, when they're already up by a bunch.
That was the ugliest 6th inning that the Red Sox have seen in quite some time. I know Sports Talk Radio had an absolute field day with that. They were talking about how it almost, we needed those games against Houston, and it just looked like Cora threw in the towel. We had the 1-run lead, brings in the pitcher, and just lets him give up who did he bring in? It was I can't even remember his name. They called him up and then just left him in. He's been a jerk.
Yeah, and then let him out there, and he just got completely pounded.
Yeah. And then Cora never went and got him. So just on top of like what he said at the trade deadline about not getting help when he needed it, it just seemed like kind of like a passive aggressive move for Alex Cora at that time.
Yeah.
And it was ugly.
Yeah,
It was just
there's something going on behind the scenes there with Cora and that group, because there's been some weird situations this year just like that.
Yeah, that was
almost like they called him up and didn't give Cora an option, and here, you need to use him. Fine, I'll use him. Watch.
Yeah.
And then he gets lit up. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, to be fair, like I also don't know what the bullpen situation was at that time. Like,
well, I think they were short.
They may have brought
arms.
him up to eat a bullet for them.
Right.
Yeah,
They were short on arms. I think that's what they were talking about during the broadcast. It's like the Sox kind of painted themselves in a corner. You know, they needed to give guys off. They were short on arms. And, you know, they didn't have the guys typically that were available would be available, and this guy had to go in and eat it. It's tough that the corner they painted themselves in happened to be at home against a team that you needed to win the games against to gain ground towards the postseason. It's kind of, you know, it all happened all at once. And, you know, so leaving that guy in, and it was tough to swallow it. And I'm a Cora apologist because I really do like Cora a lot. It was hard to watch because, you know, you were battling, you were in his 1-run game, and you had just taken the lead. Like the previous half inning, you had just taken the lead 4-3.
right.
And then you put this guy out there, and I mean, at first he couldn't find the zone. You know, we're walking guys to Bolivian, and then it's like, then we just couldn't get guys out. I mean, it was hard. It was hard to watch.
Yeah.
But you know, and I don't know. You wonder if baseball's a long season. I know we're at the end and we're coming down on it, and it's like every game matters, especially like late in the season. But it's just one game. If you lose by a bunch or you lose by one, it's still a loss.
Right.
Like it's still a loss. I think to me, what made that loss even harder is they went out to Kansas City and they gave up 13 runs and got stomped on in that first game. Like that.
Yeah.
It's like
that was painful.
If you go out to Kansas City and sweep that, and then you go to Tampa, take game one, like now all of a sudden we're on a roll. And it's like that one game against Houston isn't all that big a deal.
Right.
So it's like you know, again, I'm not absolving. I mean, I guess it sounds like maybe I am a little bit absolving it, but you know, we'll see kind of coming down the stretch here how he manages the bullpen. If we have another situation like that where it's like we just leave guys in to get pummeled, tough to defend. But if it was just the situation they were in that particular day and they didn't have another choice, you know, maybe it's just kind of a one-off.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's always more to the story. There's always the reasoning. There's the analytics. There's the availability of guys. There's all that stuff that plays into it. It's just a tough look, you know, against Houston, who you're trying to catch, one of the teams you're trying to catch, and you just kind of lay down, or it looks like you lay down.
Yeah. Where are we? So the Twins, Royce Lewis just hit his 3rd grand slam this week. He has hit
in 8 days
3 grand slams this week.
Yeah.
In 1 calendar week, 3 grand slams. He just hit another one tonight. That's insane. Guys don't even hit 3 grand slams in their career. This dude did it in a week. And this last one, I saw the clip of it. It wasn't cheap. This thing was turned on and burned on. This thing was a tank.
Well, that was like Urias for the Red Sox. Hit what, 2 in like 4 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had never hit one before in his whole life.
Yeah.
It's weird sometimes. It's almost fluky how these grand slams happen.
Yeah. My God. You're just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, they're sneaky. I mean, Minnesota's sneaky up there. They've been playing some real good ball lately.
Yeah, they've been solid.
71 wins. I mean, they're, you know, and they're still 3 games below their expected win-loss. But they've been playing some pretty decent ball. It's a team, I think, that, I don't know, you know, when the playoffs start. I mean, it looks like they're going to win that division. They're 5 up against Cleveland. So it looks like they're going to take the division. I'm not sure I would pick them over anybody in the American League. I mean, if the Red Sox sneak in and they play the Red Sox in the first round, then I would, but they won't play the Red Sox in the first round. But, you know, I don't know how lethal they can be in the postseason, but, you know, playing some good baseball now. And again, I mean, once you get to the dance, anything can happen. I mean, I don't think any of us expected Cleveland to make it to the ALCS last year.
Right.
No.
You know, so.
Yeah, that Cleveland team was such an anomaly. Like no power, No,
Yeah.
nothing. Like just contact up and down the
Yeah.
lineup, and they
Yep.
just
Contact and a good bullpen.
just crazy.
Yeah. And, and Minnesota, you run Sonny Gray and Pablo Lopez out there to start games 1 and games 2.
Sure.
I mean, you could do worse. I
Mhm.
mean, I think they'll be competitive in the playoffs. I don't see them making a deep run, but to your point, Sean, I think they're not going to scare you, but they're at least going to be in games. They're going to make you work for it. You're going to have to earn it if you're going to take them out.
Yeah. It's just crazy that the Sox, battling for a wild card spot, still have a better record than the division winner in the Central, right?
Yeah, the Central is just so bad.
But Morgan asked a question. This is a good question. What's y'all most desired World Series matchup? Cubs
Ooh.
versus Orioles is his.
Cubs versus Orioles would be a good one. I'd
Mhm.
like to see that. I want to see Seattle in it. I want to see Seattle. I want that city. I want to see that team and that fan base, that city, that stadium. Like I want to see them make a run. I'd love to see Seattle. Atlanta kind of is like a tiring answer because like the Atlanta and the Dodgers, it's like
Boring.
they've done it, but
Ho
like,
hum.
but Atlanta's just so good.
They are. They're so fun to watch.
Seattle, Philly, I think would be good because like Philly can hit, and if Philly's playing, I mean, we saw what Philly could do last year, getting hot at the right time in the postseason, just making a run and almost pulling it off. If another team from the West, so like if it's Arizona or if it's San Francisco that overcomes Arizona and gets to that like third wild card spot, I want to see, like we saw with Philadelphia last year, I want to see a team that like gets hot at the right time and takes out like a monster. Like I want to see, I want to see like Arizona or San Francisco come in and like take out the Braves, right? Or like Arizona takes out the Dodgers or something like that. Like give me chaos. Like I want chaos.
Yeah.
So like Cubs Orioles would be awesome.
Oh, what? Absolutely.
Seattle and Philadelphia.
Seattle has this many world championships.
Yeah.
I
know.
Which is amazing to me.
So it would be great to see them. Selfishly, I would like to see
Seattle Mariners.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Seattle Mariners have no World Series championships.
Right.
Selfishly, I would like to see the Diamondbacks and Orioles, just because I've been following the Diamondbacks so close this year. And I haven't seen a single game of the Orioles other than the one we went live because I'm blacked out of every game that they play. So, but I've obviously been following them. I think they would be great. I think there's a possibility of a ton of great matchups.
Yeah, Morgan took mine. I would love to see Cincy versus Baltimore. Two very proud 70s teams.
Young.
Kind of coming back to life, or Cincy Seattle. Because I would love to see, again, Seattle's a really young team, Cincy's a really young team. I would love to see Cincinnati, who's been irrelevant for so long, and Joey Votto go to the World Series. Yeah. Like that would be my dream come true, to see Cincinnati in the World Series this year. And I'd love to see them play either Seattle or Baltimore.
Yeah. Imagine that Cincy Seattle matchup, because literally you sent 4 guys that are playing for the Reds and you got Luis Castillo like pitching against them.
Yep. You got the Hall for him playing against him.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I'd love to see Cincinnati there.
Yeah.
And Seattle be good, Baltimore be good. I'm with Sean. Braves, love to watch them play. That team is so good. But like every freaking year, I swear to God, like they're on that path.
Recently.
Houston, I'm so done watching Houston in the friggin' ALCS and World Series. Like, give me some new teams.
This Braves team is like historic good with what they're doing.
Oh my God.
They got 6+ guys over 20 home runs.
Morgan, so we'll get Dodgers versus Astros based on everything we just said.
For sure. Listen, the Dodgers can't get past the NLCS, so I'm not worried about the Dodgers, but
yeah, the Dodgers won't win the World Series if they go.
But the combined OPS that Betts and Freeman are putting up right now are something that we're never ever going to see again. Like, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I forgot to look them up, but they're like light years ahead of whoever's behind them for a 1-2 punch in the batting order. It's absolutely insane. And Freddie Freeman has 4 hits.
He just gets better
every night.
He just gets better. I was one of the people that said going to LA would be a mistake. He's not going to be the same player out there. that market's different. He's not going to like it. He's not going to fit in, and he's gotten better. The dude just keeps getting better.
Yes.
He could hit anywhere. Put him in Yellowstone, put him on Jupiter. It doesn't matter. The guy just hits,
It's crazy.
and he hits everywhere.
It really is. I mean,
It's unreal.
if he doesn't have a 2-hit night, it's like a bad night for Freddie Freeman.
It's weird. Like, I can't remember the last time I saw an offer in the box score with Freddie Freeman.
No.
Just doesn't happen.
No. I do like the daily streaks on MLB Play, and it's every night it's Freddie Freeman, Luis Arraez.
Yeah, just
I
give me Freddie.
double up with both of them every night. It's crazy.
God, dude just hits.
Yeah. Bryce Harper hits milestone home run 300. Is he going to be a Hall of Famer?
Bryce Harper?
Bryce Harper?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's on the path, right? I mean, if the season ended abruptly today, I don't know. I'll have to look at the numbers and look at the comparisons, but I mean, he does this for another 4, 5, 6 seasons. I don't see how he isn't.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I think you'd have a hard time saying if he keeps at this pace. I think he absolutely is. I think the question mark with him is going to be health. It's going to be how well he holds up. I mean, this is a guy he's 30. We know he's been playing at a high level since he was like 12. He just had the whole Tommy John thing. But if at 30, if he continues to hit at the pace that he has hit, and he plays another 7-8 years, yeah. I mean, I think you're looking at a guy who's in the 500 club.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. 30 homers for the next 7 gets him to 500.
Yeah. I mean,
and he's
in the 500 home run club.
I mean, if he's healthy, he's hitting 30 in a year.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, I mean, he's on the path right now. No, season ends today, probably not. But 6 or 7 years of this, absolutely, I think.
Yep. For him, it's going to be longevity. Does he hold up? Because that swing is aggressive and violent. Like he plays although I will say, the dude looks like a natural at first base. He has been really, really good in the field.
Yeah, he has.
And I could see him making a transition out of the outfield to first base at some point, which I think actually would help him.
Yeah, I agree. So on the home run milestone topic, Aaron Judge hits his 250th home run. But not only that, is he's the fastest by far to reach this milestone. Yep. So Aaron Judge hit his 250th home run in his 810th career game. That's
bananas to think.
Right? The next fastest is who? Do you know?
A-Rod?
Nope. Philly's first baseman.
He got off to Ryan Howard?
Ryan Howard did it in 855 games.
Yeah, because Howard got off to a crazy start too, and then injuries eventually derailed him.
Yeah. So Judge is by far the fastest to get there. He did it. He beat it by 45 games.
Yeah.
So,
wow,
crazy. I mean, you just think about the torrid pace he's been on the last 2.5 years, really. I mean, and this year is crazy. Like he is like third in the AL in home runs, and he's like 200th in games played. Like it's been insane for him.
It's like a Trout season. I'm going to play 100 games and what is it, 120 and hit 40.
Yeah. And this is the part of the show where I'm going to eat some crow a little bit, where I, completely made fun of Aaron Judge for being out with a stub toe. And the Red Sox go ahead and send Jarren Duran off to surgery for a stub toe. So
the same injury.
So yeah, Duran's on the shelf for the rest of the year with the turf toe injury that Aaron Judge had and came back from. So yeah.
It's a real thing. Yeah. Apparently.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it before. It's
awful.
It's brutal.
It's awful.
But yeah, crazy. But I didn't, recover from it and still hit 30 bombs in a season. So there's that.
It's fair. Yep.
All right. So the Los Angeles Angels make the trade at the deadline for Lucas Giolito and Ronaldo Lopez, and then a week later, they're like, thanks for that one start, Lucas, but bye. So they just drop everybody. They drop Giolito, they drop Lopez, they dropped Hunter Renfroe, and they waived. There was one more. Matt Moore, reliever Matt Moore.
That's right, Matt Moore. Yep.
And then Giolito and Lopez were picked up by the Guardians. Renfroe was picked up by the Reds. I don't know about Matt Moore. I don't know but whatever. He was just kind of like a throw in there. But
I didn't see where he ended up, to be honest.
I don't know either. But those were the three big names that,
Oh, Matt Moore's with the Guardians too.
Okay, so three of them went to the Guardians then. Crazy.
If I'm reading that right. Yeah, the Guardians got Giolito, Moore, and Lopez. Yeah, they got all three of them.
And then the Reds took Hunter Renfroe.
Yep.
And then the Yankees waived Harrison Bader and Josh Donaldson. The best thing about the Harrison Bader one was Bader didn't know until he was watching ESPN that he got waived.
That's awful.
It's pretty bad.
I read that. I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so bad.
Yeah. So he was like saw the interview, and they're like, hey, like, how do you feel about getting waived? He was like, well, I don't really know what that means. Like, kid never been waived before, so he doesn't know what it means.
Yeah, nobody thought to call him and explain it to him.
No. But the Reds pick him up too. So the Reds picked up Harrison Bader and Hunter Renfroe down the stretch.
Yeah, the Guardians and the Reds made out like bandits in this deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Josh Donaldson signed a minor league deal with the Brewers. I think I saw. I don't know if he'll end up coming up. He might be there as like an insurance policy if somebody gets hurt down the stretch here for the Brewers.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But he's not playoff eligible unless he's on that roster, right?
I believe so. Yeah, he has to be on the 25-man playoff roster, right?
He's got to be with the organization and on the roster for so many days. I thought, because the Angels did it based on everybody would clear waivers and be on a roster by 9-1, so they'd all be playoff eligible wherever they went. I feel like I'm not sure if that was the same rules or not for or same timing or not for Bader and Donaldson. I mean, I can't imagine anybody would put Donaldson on a playoff roster, given how bad he has been. But again, kind of like a guy like Schwarber, Donaldson is a guy who will just suddenly take one out of the yard.
Yeah, he's such a bad locker room, the guy, though. I mean, everywhere he's been, I don't want to go as far as to call him a locker room cancer because I haven't been in any of the locker rooms, but just like the things you hear, it's like just every locker room he's in, he's just a problem. Like, he doesn't get along with guys. There's drama involved with him. If you're the Brewers, do you want that? You're leading the division. You're about to win the division. You're going to have home field advantage in a playoff series. Like, do you want that guy just coming in ruffling feathers? I mean, maybe it was, I have to imagine it was a kind of break glass in case of emergency scenario, which is why they picked him up on the waivers. But, Jesus, I'm sure they're holding their breath if they have to turn to him.
Yeah, that's the worst case scenario.
It says here that in a typical season, any players on the 40-man roster or 60-day injured list as of 11:59 p.m. Eastern time on August 31st is eligible for the postseason. Okay. So they have to be on the roster before September 1st.
So being in the minor leagues means he would not be eligible.
No, I don't believe so. So you can submit request to the commissioner, like if you have a major injury, you can
so maybe that's what
you can ask permission. It says you can request to the commissioner for it doesn't say hardship, but that's essentially like what it is.
Yeah, so like Sean called it, this is the break glass in case of emergency scenario.
It says a club may request permission from the commissioner's office to replace a player who was injured during the course of a series or postseason. So yeah. But the postseason roster is expanded to 26. It was 25 before 2020, but it's now 26. So they added another roster spot, but pretty crazy. Yeah, that's all I had for this week. I didn't really have a lot because, like I said, I spent 4 days in the dirty South, the deep South. So.
Dirty South.
It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was a great time.
I'll tell you, man, the only thing I saw today, which, excuse me, I laughed out loud at when I saw it, was, did you guys see what Rendon said?
No.
So
Oh God.
They asked him after the game, I think about like an injury or something, and he just said "No habla inglés," and then he put a sweatshirt on and walked out the
He
locker.
goes, he actually, yeah, I saw it. Now that you say it, he said no hablas inglés today.
No habla inglés,
Today.
and then he just
What
left.
Yeah.
What a joke. I mean, that guy
That-
between fighting with the fan and what was it, Oakland, and then that kind of
Oakland,
stuff,
yeah.
like that
Dude,
guy is
that-
just made a joke of himself.
All things considered, this baseball has been around for a gazillion years. That might go down in top 1% of worst contracts ever signed.
Oh my
for
God, it has to. So bad.
And they've signed a few
Oh,
bad ones.
so bad.
That franchise
Oh,
has
yeah.
signed a few bad ones. That's got to be the worst one they've ever signed, and it's top 1% in history of baseball. Worst contracts.
Yeah. I don't even
That's-
think it's close.
It's bad. It's gonna go down with the Mike Hampton contract, and there's so many contracts, so many bad deals have been signed out there, but
Yeah,
that one's bad. The Chris Bryant one right now in Colorado, that's also really bad.
Well,
But-
I don't know. I think it's bad on a different level, but like Colorado, I mean, could they be this like dumb? Maybe. Colorado signed Chris Bryant to bring a name in so that they could put asses in the seats so they could say we have Chris Bryant. I can't
Yeah,
imagine
100%.
Colorado signs that contract thinking like we're going to start winning divisions now. Right? Like
No, you're right.
Rendon went
Right.
to LA because it's like, oh well, we have Trump. I mean Trump, Jesus Christ. We have Trout, right? We have I'm going on like no sleep from this weekend, dude. I'm like
Yeah,
I have
dude.
spaghetti
I
brain.
feel you.
I have spaghetti brain. We have Trout, like we have, Shohei's over here. Like
Yeah.
Rendon was supposed to be like a piece to like help them compete,
Yes.
which is what makes it so bad. Chris Bryant couldn't possibly have been a piece to help Colorado compete. It was just like we're just gonna a guy that won, an MVP. We got a World Series champion. We're gonna get asses in the seats. Chris Bryant's gonna love it out here because like we don't care if they win, like that kind of thing. It's a bad contract,
Yeah.
but it doesn't approach Rendon's contract.
No, Rendon's definitely worse. I mean, Chris Bryant's is bad, negative WAR, and he hasn't done jack there, and he's missed a bunch of time. But yeah, no, Rendon absolutely going to be on the shelf. Some of the worst ever.
I mean,
Has
listen
to
to
be.
this though. Like Rendon in 2014, 21 homers, 83 RBIs. 2016, 20 homers, 85 RBIs. 17, 25 and 100. 18, 24 and 92. And then 19, his contract year, 34 and 126. Right. And his game plays up until then average probably like 140. So like 146, 136, 147, whatever. Since the contract, you ready? 52 games played, 9 and 31, 2020. Right, but that's 2020. 58 games played in 2021, 6 and 34. 22, 47 games, 5 and 24.
Yep.
And then 2023, 43 games, 2 and 22.
It's just, he's not out there.
Brutal.
He's given you like one full season in the last 4 years.
That is out of control.
Horrendous.
For how much was that contract? That contract was.
I mean, Rendon and Chris Sale probably have the same number of games played.
I would even say that Chris Sale has more. 7 years, $245 million he signed for. Average annual
I forgot it was that big. Yeah, that's a huge
$35
contract.
million a year they signed him for, and
Yeah.
that's what you're getting out of your $35 million.
He's doing all right.
Dude,
Yikes.
imagine if some school is like, hey, you want to come teach for us? We'll pay you $1 gazillion, and I take like every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday off for like 4 years. They'd be like, you can't work here.
Yeah, that doesn't work anywhere else.
I mean, obviously, it's not apple to apple.
if
That
you
is just,
do, if
like,
you do
think
find
about
that school, please let me know.
That's crazy.
Hell, I'll become a teacher.
My God.
But no,
That is
it's true.
insane.
The dude literally
He
misses
never plays.
60 to 80% of the games each year and gets paid really well to do it. Yeah,
Oh,
Morgan, that's like $750K per game he's actually played in.
Dude,
The math is scary.
my
so
God.
bad.
So on a more
But yeah.
positive note, on some other news here, the polar bear, your guy out there in New York, there, Shawnee,
Mm-hmm.
Pete Alonso is the fifth player in MLB history to record 3 40 home run, 100 RBI seasons in his first 5 years in the league.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Pretty big milestone for the polar bear.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he's in New York for much longer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it sounds like that might be coming to an end. But
Did you guys see that clip where Pete Alonso said that he wasn't going to go after any more pop-ups until like the trade talk had like diminished?
no,
And like literally a ball goes up the chute and he just turns and looks at it, and Jeff McNeil has to come all the way over and like catch the ball. And then McNeil thought he was just like bluffing, and he like stares at Alonso like, no, he like meant it. Like,
That's terrible.
it is terrible. So like,
yeah,
Dude,
the Mets are broken. Like that, it's broken. They've got
dude, that's gonna follow you, man. Like teams are gonna be like,
they're gonna look at
we
that.
don't like we don't want that. Like, yeah, you can hit. I mean, he'll get it. I mean, I'm certainly not saying Pete Alonso's going to be out of the league, but
no,
like,
Jesus, no.
that's terrible.
Yeah, Morgan saw it. It was like Jeff McNeil's face was hilarious. Like he
I'll
just
have to
was
look
like,
that up.
Yeah,
It
what
was-
are you doing?
yeah, he was like, oh my god, he wasn't kidding. Like that's the look like he gave Alonso. Like it was nuts.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
And then, but like Buck Showalter, what does Buck do about it?
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
that team's broken. That's blow it up.
they
and
are
start it
broken.
over again.
And
that team's
and I
broken.
think what's coming out of this all is that I think Buck's probably run is done. I think a lot of those players, they're going to have to blow the whole thing up.
Yeah.
Because he's lost that team. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's been a disaster of a season.
Well, the Yankees extend Boone to 15 more years.
Well, yeah, I mean, Boone will be there forever because 2003, but
So this is kind of cool. Just saw this come across. Guardians position player David Fry pitched 4 innings and threw 64 pitches tonight. He allowed 7 runs on 10 hits.
okay. There's the headline, but that's a lot of
funny.
innings for a
Yeah.
position player.
Dude, you know your bullpen's hurt. I was sitting here complaining about the Red Sox, and they're
Oh,
sitting here
God.
throwing out a position player. But man, oh God, Morgan, please no.
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
please no. But I mean, he kind of fits
Guys,
that mold. Home run, a
I
strikeout.
was just going to say.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. What the Yankees have that guy.
But at least Pete gets on the field. Like the guys for the Yankees don't get on the field often enough. At least Pete's out there most days.
Yeah. Goodness.
But yeah, he fits the mold of a Yankee just perfectly.
Well,
There's a lot of teams that would like to have that dude in their lineup.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Do you guys have anything else for tonight? Is there anything, like I said, Sean and I were kind of out of the loop here for the last like 4 days. So is there any big things that we missed this week?
No, I mean I think we hit on them. You know, we had some Harper with 300 and a lot of movement in the standings, and there's been a fair amount of good matchups. I think, and when you look at the schedule coming up, it looks good. This should be a good few weeks of baseball.
Yeah, this stretch is gonna be awesome. And I
This is
know
the best
like,
part of the year.
yeah, and I knew before, like when we were talking about the balanced schedule, I know we've been talking about it a lot all year, but like we weren't sure what this last stretch of baseball was going to look like. And so far, it looks like it's going to be pretty dang exciting the way the races have kind of shaped up here. So it's going to be a great 3 weeks of baseball and see.
yeah, it's worked out well, man. I mean, we looked at kind of the third wild card spot for both American League and National League, and it's working out that like teams are playing each other that they're battling against, which is like all you can ask for.
Yeah.
You know, beat the team you're chasing or beat the team you're trying to keep behind you, and you'll be all right. And that's all you can ask for in September.
Do you guys think, I know this is very forward thinking because, you know, all this talk about expansion teams coming in, and I think we've touched on it before, but like if we get 2 new expansion teams, now we have 16 teams in each league. Do you think we go to like a hockey playoff format where it's like the top 8 best records get into the playoffs?
I don't know. I mean, I think we talked a lot about that earlier when the conversation started about, you know, having to realign the divisions. And do you do like a north, south, east, west? Do you do like a big conference lineup? If you're going to do the balanced schedule, you don't need divisions so much anymore because everybody's playing everybody equally. I think Major League Baseball has got to figure out how they're going to handle this structure when they add more teams, if they're going to keep the balanced schedule. If the balanced schedule is going to be the new normal, you don't necessarily need divisions like you used to. It's nice to have the way to separate the teams, but if you're playing everybody equally, the division standings don't necessarily matter as much.
Well, I mean, you're still playing the division people more than you're playing the other teams. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
only
you're still
only
playing-
slightly more. It's not like you
Well,
used to have the
right.
19 games against everybody. Now it's what? Is it 14 or is it 14
yeah.
now? 12?
12.
Like 12 or 4. Yeah, it's 12
Yeah,
or
it's
14.
just-
I still think divisions matter in any sport, right? Like, because you're when you're a team and you're approaching a season, right? Like goal number 1 is to win your division, and then goal number 2 is win your conference or win your league or win your whatever, and then goal number 3 is to win the championship. Like goal number 1 is win your division, and you should still be rewarded for winning your division. The reward for winning your division is a home field playoff game or home field on a playoff series or whatever. So I still think those should matter. Like I wouldn't want to see them go away from that to just sit there and say, hey, the best 8 teams. So, we're going to sit there and 4 teams from the American League East are going in, or 4 teams from the National League West are going in, and no one from the National League East is going, or like whatever. Like you should still be rewarded for winning your division. So I guess my answer is like I don't want them to change it too much. We'll see what they end up doing, but I still think you should be rewarded for doing that because it's a long season, especially baseball, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 162 games. I mean, if you're within a group and you come out on top of that group, you should be rewarded for that.
Well, hockey sort of does that, don't they? Don't they have the 4
They do.
subdivisions and then
They do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
So then
They
yeah,
do. I mean, the NFL, they realigned into the 4 divisions, the north, south, east, west kind of idea, and kept the division structure intact. Although, you do kind of you're flip flopping who you're playing around the league. I mean, I agree with Sean. I think the divisions matter because it gives you that first kind of step, that first group you got to clear. But with the balanced schedule, the divisions become a little bit less important, but you still need something there. Like I hate that big long conference list of here's everybody and like the NBA does, where basically it's just boom, here's your top 8.
right.
Because you end up with these groupings of teams, and you're not necessarily well represented. You're just a race to the finish.
yeah. So it's 13 games per division opponent and totaling 52 games for this year is what was played. So
Gotcha.
52 divisional games, once you play everybody in the division. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So you lost 6 games from each team that you play in your division.
Yeah. You took a third of your games away, and now you're playing other people instead.
Yeah. So pretty cool. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, we will be back next Monday at 8. We'll recap the playoff races here going forward, any news and highlights from this week coming up. Hope everyone had a safe and happy Labor Day. And we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m.
See ya.